Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to a beautiful, soulful morning. Let's start our wonderful morning by bowing in gratitude. Let's be grateful to all of our ancestors, our masters, our teachers, our angels, our guardians, our spirit guides, our gurus who come in whichever form they do, in this realm or the other, in this plane or the other, in this dimension or the other, always there to teach us, guide us, nudge us, sometimes challenge us. Let's be grateful for all the divine beginnings. Let's be grateful for all the divine synchronicities that unfold around us. The magical presence. The cosmic interactions. The awakening. The show of faith. The power of prayer. At this point, take a minute to pray. But before you pray, just be so grateful to Dharti Ma, to the universe, to all the magical beings that are around us for so much that they give. When you give, you get. So when we give gratitude, we get so much more abundance. It's a done deal. Let's be so grateful for all that is unfolding, for our deep learning. Each day, there's so many chances that are given to us to learn. May we absorb them. And now, take a minute to pray. Whether it's a gratitude prayer or a prayer with a wish, just close your eyes and go deep from your heart. Feel your heart expanding and let the prayer come from your heart, not from your mind. May we all become channels of spreading love and light and happiness and joy in our own beautiful way. Nothing is small or big. As long as we're connected within our heart, with our soul, life will unfold beautifully. May we be open to learning, to be more receptive, to become empathetic. And feel this beautiful energy rise in you as we gear up for a wonderful session this morning. Each morning is wonderful. May today be even more special. With this beautiful thought, let's just start our session. Those of you who want, you can rub your hands, gently open your eyes. Wonderful. Only Love is Real is what we've been reading. And this beautiful book is taking us from one place to another. And today in chapter number 13, let's see what's coming our way. The first poem is by William Wordsworth. He says, "A birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar, not in entire forgetfulness, and not in utter nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory to become. From God who's our home, heaven lies about us in our infancy. So we all infants in this world. हम भूले बैठे हैं what we have seen in the past lives. We've come again raw. And then sometimes some rekindling, some awakening reminds us of who we truly are or what the soul really wants. So it's all in eternity that the soul is just traveling, traveling, traveling. Now, Dr. Wise is back with his clients, and let's understand what he's trying to tell us. Despite her success in recalling several past lives, Elizabeth still ached with grief. Intellectually, she had begun to accept the concept of the continuity of the soul and the reoccurrence of consciousness in subsequent physical bodies. She had experienced the reunion of soul companions along this journey. But memories did not bring her mother back, not physically. She could not hug her and talk to her. She missed her mother dearly. As Elizabeth came to the office for today's session, I decided to try something different, something I had done with varying degrees of success with other patients. As usual, I would help her achieve a state of deep relaxation. I would then guide her in visualizing a beautiful garden, have her walk into the garden and rest. As she was resting, I would suggest that a visitor was joining her in the garden, and that Elizabeth, I would suggest that a visitor was joining her in the garden, and Elizabeth would communicate with this visitor in thoughts, voice, vision, feelings, or in any way possible. Everything that Elizabeth experienced after this point would come from her own mind, not from my suggestions. She sank deeply into the familiar leather recliner and quickly entered the tranquil hypnotic state. I counted backwards from 10 to 1, deepening her level even more. She imagined herself walking down a spiral staircase. As she reached the bottom of the steps, she visualized a garden in front of her. She walked into the garden and found a place to rest. I told her about the visitor and we waited. After a short while, she became aware that a beautiful light was approaching her. In the quiet office, Elizabeth began to cry softly. Why are you crying? I questioned. It's my mother. I can see her in the light. She looks so beautiful, so young. Now, speaking directly to her mother, she added, It's so good to see you. Elizabeth was smiling and crying at the same time. You can talk to her, you can communicate with her. I reminded Elizabeth I did not say anything more at this point as I didn't want to interfere with the reunion. Elizabeth was not recalling a memory, nor was she re experiencing some event that had already occurred. This experience was happening now. The meeting with the mother was taking place vividly and emotionally in Elizabeth's mind, that their reunion existed so powerfully in her mind, conferred a considerable degree of reality to her experience. The potential to help her heal her grief was now present. We sat quietly for several minutes, the silence sometimes punctuated by small sighs. At times, I could see a tear roll down Elizabeth's cheek. She smiled frequently. Finally, she began to speak. She's gone now, Elizabeth said very calmly. She had to go, but she will be back. Elizabeth remained deeply relaxed with the eyes still closed as we continued to talk. Did she communicate with you? Yes, she told me many things. She told me to trust in myself. She said, Trust in yourself. I have taught you everything you need to know. What does this mean to you? That I must believe in my own feelings and not let others influence me all the time, especially men. She said that men have taken advantage of me because I didn't believe in myself enough and I let them. I gave them too much power, robbing myself, and at the same time, I must stop doing this. We're all the same, she told me. Souls are not male or female. You are as beautiful and as powerful as any other soul in the universe. Do not forget this. Do not become distracted by other physical forms. This is what she said. Did she tell you anything else? Yes, there's more. But she didn't elaborate. What? That she loves me dearly. That she's fine. She's helping many souls on the other side. She will always be there for me. There was one more thing. What is that? To be patient. Sometimes something will happen very soon, something important, and I must trust in myself. What will happen? I don't know. She added with a resolve. She added, I had never noticed in her before, the resolve, right? Sitting in the green room of the Donahue show, I witnessed a stunningly surrealistic experience. Scene. There was Jenny Cockle, a 41-year-old woman from England sitting with her son, Sonny, aged 75, and her daughter, Phyllis, who was 69 years old at the time. Their story is far better and more convincing than Bridgie Murphy's a famous landmark reincarnation case. Ever since her early childhood, Jenny knew that in recent past life she had died suddenly, leaving her 8 children virtual orphans. She knew detailed facts about the early 20th century lives in rural Ireland. Her name in that life was Mary. Jenny's family humored her, but there were not enough funds or interest to investigate the child's fantastic story of a life of crushing poverty and tragedy in Ireland decades ago. Jenny grew up not knowing if her vivid recollections were real or not. Finally, Jenny had the resources to begin her research. She found 5 of the 8 children of Mary Sutton, an Irish woman who died in 1932 from complications after the birth of her eighth child. Mary Sutton's children confirmed many of Jenny's incredibly detailed memories. They seemed convinced that Jenny was indeed Mary, their dead mother. As I was watching the ongoing reunion there in the green room of the Donahue show, my mind shifted gears and I saw the beginning sequence of the old Ben Casey television show. This was a medical show in the late 50s or early 60s. My mother, in a subtle way, encouraged me to watch this program, relentlessly influencing me to choose medicine as my career. The Ben Casey show always began with universal symbols, and the aged neurosurgeon mentor of the young Dr. Ben Casey intoned man, woman, birth, death, infinity, or something very much like this. Universal mysteries, unanswerable riddles. Sitting in the green room just prior to going on Donahue as an expert on past life memories, I was getting the answers that had eluded young Ben Casey and the others. Man, woman, in the course of our lifetime, they change sexes, religions, and races in order to learn from all sides. We're all in school here. Birth. If we never really die, then we are never really born. We are all immortal, divine, and indestructible. Death is nothing more than walking through a door into another room. We keep returning in order to learn certain lessons, traits such as love, forgiveness, understanding, patience, awareness, non-violence. We have to unlearn other traits such as fear, anger, greed, hatred, pride, ego, which result from old conditioning. Now, this is very important for all of us to understand this morning. This has come to us as a lesson that we must imbibe. Not that we don't know, but are we working on it? A societal pressure, norms has made us believe that ये नहीं करोगे तो ऐसा हो जाएगा. Fear has been instilled in us from a very initial stage. Anger has been instilled in us. Maybe we've seen somebody. And we feel that if things don't go the way we want, then it's all right to be angry. Greed is somewhat in us. We have been probably taught as children, do this, you will get this. Reward system. You study more, you get an A plus or a O positive or a B or whatever grades we got, or a 10 on 10 or a 9 and 9.5. Study. So we somehow became competitive. Greed. Hatred. Something you don't like, which you're repulsed with, you hate. There's not no acceptance. You see a dead animal, you hate the sight of it. You see a lizard, sometimes you hate it because you just can't accept. But do we know that we have been that lizard or we've been the dead animal in some time, in some life? Where is the empathy? Where is the compassion? Anytime we feel such feelings, it's okay to feel such feelings. But then question yourself, why do I feel this? Whenever emotions happen, we must allow them to surface up, but we must process them. It is not fair to our body, to our heart, to not to emote or to suppress. Something that is suppressed will come up like oppression. It will come up in a very big way. So it's all right to feel what you're feeling, but to process it, to get out of it. Pride. I have done this. I have done this. Forgetting that we all channels to do something or the other. We have been chosen and the deed has been done through us. Ego, I, me, and am. Mera, mera, mera. We have to learn to work on ourselves, to forgive, to understand, to be patient, to be aware, to become non-violent in our nature, so that all of the old conditioning stuff can just be unlearned. And then we graduate and leave the school. We have all the time in the world to learn and unlearn. We are immortal, we are infinite, we have the nature of God. Like in this book which we kept doing, Unified, I'm made in the image of God. That was a standard learning in that book, standard line in that book. As I watched Jenny and her aged children, even more came to me. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall be also reap. The concept of karma is stated virtually word for word in all the great religions. This wisdom is ancient. We are responsible to ourselves, to others, to the community, and to the planet. But remember, our first responsibility is always to ourselves. But what do? We give priority to others. Even when I have said this before, I'm saying this again today. Even when we are in a flight, the instruction the air hostess gives us is what? In case of emergency, first we should wear their own mask, first we should wear our own life jacket, and then help children or anybody around us. Are we actually being true to ourselves by being responsible for ourselves? Or are we still living in a victim mode is a question. Or are we still making excuses that, okay, I'm doing this for others for this reason, X, Y, Z? Propelled by her need to care for and to protect her children, Jenny was pulled back to them once again. We never lose our loved ones. We keep coming back together and together again. What a powerful reuniting energy love is. Isn't that beautiful? Chapter number 14. Nietzsche says, my doctrine is live so that thou mayst desire to live again. That is thy duty, for in any case thou will again. Matlab, come what may, we will live again. So live your life so beautifully that you again want to live it. When we are on a holiday or when we're doing something exciting and the day ends, you're like, wow, tomorrow will be yet another day and it's going to be a beautiful day because you're excited about it. But are we so excited about living our life like that? Or is it mundane? Analyze your life. Or are you sucked into the monotony of every day following the way it was yesterday and day before? So, what can you do to zing it, to make it exciting? What can you do that helps you connect with yourself? There are many bridges or techniques for helping a patient remember past life through hypnosis. One of these bridges is a door. Often, I will put patients into a deep hypnotic trance and have them walk through a door. They choose a door into a past lifetime. Imagine yourself standing in a beautiful corridor or hallway with large and magnificent doors on either side and at the ends. These are doorways into your past or even your past lives. They may lead you to spiritual experiences. As I count backward from 5 to 1, one of these doors will open a door to your past. A door will pull you, it'll attract you. Go to it. I don't know how many of you have actually tapped into your subconscious mind, experienced these walkings. They're absolutely magical, and you go to a life which is meant for you, where you meant to learn some lessons. Anyways, back to the book. 5, the door is opening. This door will help you to understand any blocks or obstacles to joy and happiness in your current life. Go to the door. 4, you are at the door. You see a beautiful light on the other side of the door. Step to the door and into the light. 3, go through the light. You are in another time, another place. Do not worry about water imagination, fantasies, actual memory, symbol, metaphor, or some combination of all of these. It is experience that matters. Just let yourself experience whatever pops into your mind. Try not to think, judge, or critique. Just let yourself experience whatever comes into your awareness is fine. You can analyze it later. 2, nearly there through the through the light. When I say 1, be there and go to the person, the scene on the other side of the light. Let it all come into focus on the count of 1. 1, be there. Look at your feet and see what kind of footwear you're wearing. Look at your clothes, your skin, your hands. Are they the same or different? Pay attention to details. The door is just one of the many bridges to the past. All lead to the same place, to a past life, or a spiritual experience that is important to the person's current life situation. Elevators traveling back through time, a road or pathway, or even an actual bridge through the mists of time. Stepping across a creek, brook, stream, or small river to the other side, to another lifetime time machine with a patient operating the control panel. These are just a few examples of the myriad paths and bridges to the past. For Pedro, I use the doorways. When he tried to look at his feet after emerging from the light, he found himself staring instead at the large stone mask of a god. He has a long nose and large angled teeth. The mouth lips are strange, very large and wide. His eyes are round and set deeply and far apart. He has a very mean look. The gods can be cruel. How do you know this is God? He's very powerful. Are there many gods or is he the only one? There are many, but he's a powerful one. He controls the rain. Without rain, we could not grow food, Pedro explained simply. Are you there? Can you find yourself? I urged. I'm there. I'm a priest of some sort. I know about the heavens and the sun, the moon and the stars. I help to make the calendars. Where do you do this work? In a building made of stone, it has stairs that circle around and small windows through which we see and measure. It's very complicated. But I am good at this. They rely on me for the measurements. I know when the eclipses will occur. It sounds as if this is a very scientific civilization, I commented. Only parts of it, the astronomy and the architecture. The rest is superstitious and backward, he clarified. There are other priests and their supporters who are only interested in power. They use superstition and fear to delude the people and maintain their power. Now, this is also another line that we must remember. We have all been subjected to this kind of fear arousal, this fear
Sometimes parents have also done it. They induce fear in us that their supremacy, their parenting is maintained. We have all fallen victims to this, and maybe we have made people fall as victims because of this by done by us. Why? It's a power game. Power of parenting, power of society, power of gods, power of religion, and on and on and on. They're supported by nobles who help to control the warriors. It's an alliance to keep power in the hands of only a few. The time and the culture Pedro remembered may have been ancient, but the techniques of control and political alliances formed to gain and maintain power are timeless. The ambitions of men never seem to change. How do they use superstition to delude the people? Asked Dr. Wise. They blame the gods for natural events, then they blame the people for angering or displeasing the gods. The people become responsible for natural events like floods or droughts or earthquake or volcanic eruptions. When the people are not to be blamed at all, and neither the gods, these are events of nature and not the actions of angry gods. But the people do not realize this. They stay ignorant and fearful because they feel responsible for these calamities. Pedro paused for a few minutes, then he continued. It's a mistake to externalize our problems, our calamities to the gods. This gives the priests and nobles too much power. We understand more about natural events than the people do. We actually know when they begin and what they end. We understand about the cycles. So, very important for us to understand few things. When we want to be in a state of defending ourselves, then we are not accepting the reality. And when we're defending ourselves, we are victimizing ourselves and our acts of deeds or whatever we are doing. Then we start, sometimes we become so dependent upon others, we go to astrologers and we go to panditjis for remedies and I don't know what all, what not. But actually, who can help you is only you, nobody else. By chiseling your thoughts, by refining your thoughts, by working on yourself. We are people in progress. We're always working on ourselves. We're meant to be working on ourselves, but are we working on ourselves or are we taking the easy road out? It's a very important thing to understand where we are moving. We usually know when they begin and when they end. We understand about the cycles. An eclipse is a natural event that can be calculated and predicted. It's not an act of anger or punishment by the gods, but this is what they tell the people. Pedro was speaking rapidly now. Words and concepts poured from him without my prodding. The priests hold themselves out as a communication to the gods. They tell the people they are the only intermediaries, that they know what the gods want. I know this is not true. I am one of the priests. Go on, I suggested. The priests have developed a cruel and elaborate system of sacrifices to appease the god. His voice dropped to a whisper, even sacrifices of people. Of people, I echoed. Yes, they do not have to do this often because it strikes such fear into the people. There are rituals for drowning and rituals for slaying, as if gods need human blood. You must have read in the newspaper, no? That there's a woman who didn't have a child, and some tantric would tell her, you have to kill a child in this age, and she actually would go and hunt the child, and they would kill. Such sadistic, cheap pleasures they get. Bhagwanji doesn't want blood. We are so used to putting milk on Shivling and so much, so much, so much. Do they want it? That OMG movie came, it was all about this. These rituals for whatever, whoever is fear mongering in us, please remember it's not coming from God's light. God's light means love and faith and trust. And anybody who does anything opposite to this, anything in the world of darkness, is not a real teacher, is not a real good person. He or she is coming out of greed. Pandit ji says, ये खराब time आ रहा है, ये पूजा कर लो, it will become better. Really? All my life I've seen this. My father has had hundreds of Panditjis all his life. So much so, my decision to go to London or not was also taken by Panditji for my graduation. But really, we've given power to outsiders more than ourselves. We are being manipulated by ritualistic stuff or fears. Rituals done for something positive is good. Like if you remember in Tahiti and some other tribes, they are doing gratitude in advance, manifestation of rain, and they're thanking the God in the skies for giving them rain, even though rain hasn't happened. Now, is there anything wrong in that? Where is this coming from? Understand it. Hope, love, trust. Now, is this light or is it dark? Ask yourself and you will know the answer. Anything coming from light energy is good. If you are manifesting for something and you're telling the moon, super moons, or whatever, it's coming from hope and trust. Okay, this is something I think I need, but this or something high is better will unfold for me is my faith. But if we become attached to that wish and say, this must happen, come what may, then it becomes greed, insecurity, complex. Then let me tell you, my dear friends, the good news is, of the bad news for you, this doesn't work. Then it's desperation, then it's not manifestation from positive. It's from the fear that this doesn't happen, this will happen, so this must happen. Dr. Weiss asks the person, do you have to take part in these ritual sacrifices? I cautiously asked him, no, I do not believe in them. They let me stay with my observations and calculations. I do not even believe that these gods exist, he whispered in a confidential way. You don't know. How can gods be as petty and foolish as people? When I observe the heaven and the beautiful harmony of the sun and the moon, the planets and the stars, how can such an intelligence, such a wisdom be petty and foolish at the same time? It makes no sense. We give those so called gods or our own qualities. Fear, anger, jealousy, hatred, these are ours, and we project them onto these gods. I believe that the real God is far beyond human existence, human emotions. The real God does not need our rituals and sacrifices. The ancient incarnation of Pedro possessed great wisdom. He talked easily even on the taboo subjects and he did not seem tired. So I decided to press again. Do you ever become more influential as a priest? I asked. Do you gain more power in that lifetime? No, I don't. I would not rule like that if I had power. I I would educate the people. I would let them learn for themselves. I would stop the sacrifices. But the priests and nobles might lose the power. I objected. What if the people stop listening? They would not. Real power comes from knowledge. Now, is that a $1 million line? If this not, then what is? Real wisdom is applying that knowledge in a caring and benevolent manner. The people ignore it, but they can change. They're not stupid. जब हमारे पास knowledge होती है, nothing in the world can make us, break us, shake us. Why? Because we are knowledgeable about it and we know a lot about it. But knowledge also which types? Superfluous or something deep down. So knowledge is the real power. And when this knowledge is there, it's actually useless if we don't implement it. But if we start implementing it in our daily life, then that becomes magic. Because then that becomes discipline. एक बार किया, बाकी 29 बार नहीं किया in a month, useless. 29 बार किया, उतना नहीं किया जितना करना चाहिए था, but it's so much better because again you're working on discipline muscle. Go on, I requested in another period of silence. There's no more, Pedro asked. That I've left that body and I am resting. It surprised me. I had not asked him to leave. We had not experienced a death scene, and there was no jarring, traumatic event that might have spontaneously dislodged him. I remembered that he had entered this lifetime in an unusual way, confronting a huge stone face of the god of rain. Perhaps there was nothing more to be gained from examining that lifetime any further, and Pedro's higher mind knew this, and so he left. He would have been a marvelous ruler. In November of 1992, Galileo was exonerated by the church for his accused heresy, which held that the earth was not the nucleus of the universe, but that in fact the earth revolved around the sun. The investigation that cleared Galileo began in 1980 and lasted for 12 and one half years. The work of the Inquisition in 63 was finally undone 359 years later. Unfortunately, closed mindedness is often undone even more slowly. All institutions seem to be closed minded. Individuals who never question these assumptions and belief systems are similarly closed minded. So, are we open minded or are we closed minded? Is a question we have to pose for ourselves. How can they be, how can they assimilate new observations and new knowledge when their minds are blinded to the beliefs and by untested old ideas? That's again something we must say. What is the condition that's happening in our mind? Can we change that by revisiting that old memory, why it happened? सिंपल एग्जाम्पल, दिन ढलने के बाद नाखून नहीं काटते, क्यों नहीं काटते? साइंस क्या बोलती है? पहले अंधेरा जल्दी होता था, देयर वर नो लाइट्स इन द हाउसेस. काट लो, किसी को चुभ सकता है, बिकॉज कहीं गिर सकता है विदाउट यू नोइंग, बिकॉज यू कांट सी. बट वी कंटिन्यू दैट टिल टुडे. वेयर इज द साइंस, वेयर इज द लॉजिक? Years ago, while in deep trance state, Catherine told me our task is to learn to become godlike through knowledge. We know so little. By knowledge, we approach God and then we can rest. Then we come back to teach and help others. Knowledge can only flow into the minds that are open. अगर हमारा माइंड क्लोज है, नॉलेज कैसे आएगी? हमें ओपन रिसेप्टिव ही नहीं है ना हम. How can anything come to us? Chapter number 15. Walt Whitman says, I know I'm deathless. No doubt I have died myself 10,000 times before. I laugh at what you call dissolution, and I know the amplitude of time. Dreams have many functions. Again, I repeat, I keep saying dream journaling is important. That's the reason I always say having a little book by your bedside is important, because when you are in the dream state and you write something, there are often revelations and messages to us which we forget on the waking stage. So, immediately to start writing, the minute you wake up without thinking is very important. You can even scribble if you're able to read your own writing. Dreams may have functions. They help to process and integrate the day's events. They provide clues, often in the form of symbols and metaphors, that help solve the problem of everyday life relationships, fears, work, emotions, illnesses, and much more. They can assist us in achieving our desires and our goals, if not physically, then at least in the form of wish fulfillment. They aid us in reviewing past lives, reminding us of parallels in the present. They protect sleep by disguising stimuli such as anxieties that would otherwise awaken us. So, when you see something very disturbing on the television before sleeping, or you hear something, what happens? Your sleep is very affected. You would have soundless sleep, you will be disturbed. And if you were to wear smart watches, you'll be able to track how you're feeling. Sleep, dreams, they aid us if not physically, then at least in the form of wish fulfillment. They protect reviewing past life. They protect sleep by disguising stimuli such as anxieties that would otherwise awaken us. Dreams have deeper functions as well. They may provide pathways to recovering repressed or forgotten memories, whether from childhood, infancy, in utero experiences, or even from past lives. Past life memory fragments often emerge from the years or centuries preceding him or his or her birth. That's the reason I've been guiding you all from the past couple of days to just go in a meditative world on your own, allowing whatever has to come to you to come. It's very easy for me to be there till the end, but no two can be similar. Some have to experience it for half an hour, some 20 minutes, some 15 minutes. At least start with a couple of minutes. Allow the information to flow through you automatically without judging it. Even if you think your mind, your monkey mind is making it, it's all right. Trust the process is very, very, very important. Dreams can be psychic or precognitive. Often, these particular dreams can predict the future. Accuracy varies because the future appears to be a system of probabilities and inevitabilities, and because the ability of people to accurately interpret their dreams varies tremendously. These psychic or precognitive dreams are experienced by many people of all cultures and backgrounds. However, many people are shocked when their dreams literally come true. And again, this is something you have to ask yourself. Have you dreamt of something and that's come true and you're like, wow, I thought of this and it happened? That's why sowing the seeds at the right time is very important. We've often heard this old adage, being there, the right place, the right time, and the right person. I got lucky. That's why this full moon, new moon thing happens. New moon is when you put the intention, you keep nurturing it. And as this moon keeps growing and growing and growing, you know that your desires or your manifestation is growing, growing, growing. And when the full moon happens, if you're not gifted with what you sowed for in just 14 days, it's all right to trust the process. Surrender it. Manifest again on that day and surrender it, knowing, trusting the process. Not कि मैं 6 महीने से कर रहा हूँ, आप दे नहीं रहे हो, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, then it becomes impatience, then it becomes greed. Then are we trusting the process? No. Another type of psychic dream occurs when communication with a person at a distance is experienced. This person may be alive, geographically distant, or the communication may be with the soul or consciousness of someone who has died, such as relative or dear friend. Similarly, there may be communication with an angelic spirit, a teacher, or a guide. The messages in these dreams are usually genuinely moving and very important. Traveling dreams also occur. During these dreams, people have the experience of visiting places to which they have never physically been. Details of what they see can be confirmed when the person actually visits the geographical place, even months or years after the dream. A feeling of deja vu or familiarity may occur. कई बार हुआ होगा ना सबके साथ. अरे I've gone through this scene before. मैंने exactly same thing same time देखा था. क्यों? There are always parallels happening. While we're doing this, we're also doing that in some other world. Our consciousness is only not for Mother Earth. It is so vast, we have no idea. Time is relative and we don't understand it. But there are so many paradigms to it, so many layers to it. Sometimes a dream traveler visits places that do not seem to exist on this planet. These dreams may be far from nocturnal imaginings. They may be mystical or spiritual experiences accessed because the usual ego and cognitive barriers are relaxed during sleep and learning and dreaming. Knowledge and wisdom acquired during this type of traveling dream can transform lives. I don't know how many of you have been, but it is absolutely phenomenal to go to the other side, to see the world of crystals, to see the world of fire, to see the world of souls. And all this I have experienced thanks to a state where in meditations so much unfolds. So many downloads are given. You just know what path to walk on. And when you trust the process, you do it, then it's even more beautiful. Like for the first time this time, I just was told that these books are there. Now I told myself, like my analytical mindset, but Dr. Brian Weiss is only about, soul and reincarnation. And it'll become so repetitive to read again and again. But I was like, no. The minute I was told, I was like, no, there will be so much more coming your way, different experiences. Your trust muscle will be built. I said, all right. Nothing came to me how many months. And I said, okay, it could go on for 90 days, 100 days, 6 months. Koi idea nahi hai. Let's just go with the flow and see where we lead. Because everything has a lesson. And if it is repetitive, it's also good because we've heard repetition is key to excellence. So maybe we have to get excellent in this. That's why we're reading similar episodes. But what's happening? So much more is coming our way, and then we are saying, okay, let's learn. Now back to Elizabeth's story. Elizabeth bounced in early for appointment, eager to tell me about the dream she had during the previous night. She appeared less anxious, more relaxed than I had ever seen her. People at work, she told me, had begun to comment that she looked better, that she was being nicer and more patient, even more so than the old Elizabeth before her mother's death. This was not one of my typical dreams, she stressed. The dream was more alive and real. I still remember all the details, and I usually forget most of my dreams pretty quickly, as you know. I had been encouraging Elizabeth to write down her dreams as soon as she awakened. Keeping a dream journal near your bed and jotting down what you remember of your dreams significantly enhances the memory. Here comes the validation of Dr. Wise. Truly wise. When you start writing about your dream, चाहे 5 मिनट 4 मिनट जितना भी आ रहा है, you are subconsciously enhancing the memory. Next time when the dream comes, you'll remember more. Next time it'll come, you'll remember even more. Next time it comes, you don't have to write because you'll remember like the back of your hand. Otherwise, the dream contents fades rapidly away. Elizabeth had been somewhat lazy but chronicling her dreams. And by the time she came to the office for her appointment, she had usually forgotten most of the details, if not the entire dream. This dream was different, so vivid that the details were etched in her mind. At first, I entered a large room. There were no windows or lamps or overhead lights, but the walls were somewhat glowing. They emitted enough light to illuminate the entire room. Were the walls hot? I asked. I don't think so. They gave off light but not heat. I didn't touch the walls though. What else did you notice in that room? It was a library of some sort, but I couldn't see any shelves or any books. In the corner of the room was a statue of the Sphinx. There were two chairs on either side of the statue, old from an olden time. They were not from modern times, almost like a throne made out of stone or marble. She was quiet for a moment, her gaze drifting upward on the left and her gaze drifting upward and to the left as she remembered the ancient chairs. What do you think a statue of the Sphinx was doing there? I inquired. So I don't know how many of you remember the Sphinx in the Egypt. I don't know. Maybe because the library helped you to understand secrets. I remember the riddle of the Sphinx. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs during the day, and 3 legs at night, man does. A crawling baby becomes adult, who becomes elderly, needing a cane to walk. Maybe it has something to do with a riddle or with riddles in general. It could be, I conceded, my mind drifting back to Oedipus and the first time I'd heard about the riddle. Yet there may be more meanings too, I added. For example, what if the Sphinx somewhat provides a clue to the nature of the library or even to its structure or its location? The dreaming mind would be very complex. I wasn't there long enough to find out. Are you aware of anything else in the room? Yes, there was a man nearby, dressed in a long white robe. I guess he was a librarian. Decided that he would come into the room and who could not. Who could come and who could not. For some reason, I was allowed in. At this point, my practical mind could not contain itself any longer. What kind of library doesn't have books? That's the strange part. All I had to do was to put my arm out with my palms and and whatever book I needed began to form right in my hands. In no time, the book was complete. It seemed to come right off the wall and solidify in my hands. What kind of book did you receive? I don't remember exactly. A book about me, about my lifetimes. I was afraid to open it. Afraid of what? I don't know. There was something bad there, something I would be ashamed of. Did the librarian help you? Not really. He just began to laugh. Then he said, Is a rose ashamed of its thorns? And he laughed some more. Then what happened? He led me out, but I felt that eventually I would understand what he meant and I would come back and not be afraid to read from my book. She grew silent, pensive. Was that end of the dream? I prodded. No. After leaving the library, I went to a classroom where I was taking a course. There were 15 or 20 other students there. One young man seemed very familiar, like he was my brother, but he wasn't my brother, Charles. She's referring to her present life brother in California. What kind of course were you taking? I don't know. Was there more? I asked. Yes. I wondered why she had hesitated now, after already relating some very unusual dream scenes. A teacher appeared. She continued, a voice slightly more than a whisper. He let the most intense brown eyes, he had them. His eyes would change to a beautiful purple color, then back to the brown gaze. He was very tall and wore only a white robe. His feet were bare. He came to me and looked deeply into my eyes. Then what? I felt the most incredible love. I loved. I knew that everything would be all right, that everything I was going through was part of some plan and the plan was perfect. Did he tell you that? No, he didn't have to. In fact, he didn't say anything. I just felt these things, but somehow they seemed to be coming from him. I could feel everything. I knew everything. I knew there was nothing to fear ever, and then he walked away. What else? I felt very light. The last time I remember is floating in the clouds. I was feeling so loved, so safe. Then I woke up. How do you feel? I feel okay, but it's fading. I can remember everything about the dream, but the feeling is getting weaker. The traffic driving over here didn't help. Everyday life interfering again with transcendent experiences. A woman wrote to me, thanking me for writing my first book. Information in the book helped me to understand and accept two dreams she had dreams that were more than 2 decades apart. Her letter was destroyed when Hurricane Andrew dripped through my office, but I remember it well. From the time she was a young girl, she knew that she would have a very special child named David. She grew older, got married, had 2 daughters, but no son. She reached her mid-30s and she became more and more concerned. Where was David? In a vivid dream, an angel came to her and said, You can have your son, but he can only stay for 19 and a half years. Is that acceptable to you? The woman agreed. A few months later, she became pregnant, and soon David was born. He was indeed a special child, kind, sensitive, loving, an old soul, she would say. She never told David about her dream and the agreement with the angel. It came to pass that he died at 19 and a half years of age due to a rare type of cancer of the brain. She felt guilty, anguished, grief-stricken, despondent. Why had she accepted the angel's offer? Was she somehow responsible for David's death? In a vivid dream, a month after David's death, an angel reappeared. This time David was with the angel, and David spoke to her. Don't grieve so. I love you. I chose you, did not choose me. And she understood. Now, that, my dear friends, is so powerful, so magical, so meaningful. We are chosen by our children, and we then decide to parent them in a very strict fashion, thinking that we have ownership of them. My child, my grandchild, my husband. They should do exactly as we think. Really? How would you feel if somebody did that to you? Wouldn't you feel that you're in a jail? So, all right, let's start our today's meditation by checking our alignment, our posture. And these days, I encourage you to kind of lie down with your this meditation because, of course, you know your timing better. But the idea is to put you in a deep dream state and to allow the downloads or the meetings or the whatever lessons are to be learned at the soul level for them to get filtered through you. And a lot of them is supposed to be done on its own automatically. So that's what I've been pushing towards. But if you feel that this is not the time for you and you want to do it later, if that later is actually defined, then it's different. Then do it that time. You have the recordings. Anyways, I will initiate everybody into it. So if you're sitting down or lying down, get comfortable. Eyes gently closed. And now observe the rhythmic breathing of your body. See the breath in and breath out and start flowing with the breath as if you've got like attached to your breath. And whatever the breath is doing, you are the breath. Imagine that. The gentle rise and fall of your breath, of your chest. Observe it. Just be in alignment with your breath. Be with your breath work. I'll keep counting and you keep breathing at your own pace. Don't match with my voice and my commands. Just keep breathing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're so relaxed now. Gentle, soft, rhythmic breathing. You are life. You are love. Just go deeply with your breath. And now pray for whatever you wish to learn. Pose a question to the universe, to your subconscious mind that you're seeking an answer for. Just be with your breath work. Check your question again, re-emphasize it, and now wait for the download, the experiences to happen. It's magical. Just flow. Witness it like a story, and if possible, journal it after the session ends, after your session ends.
breath work to be consistent. Enjoy the experiences. Be blessed.